Kakalosh, Boker or Bekiim Bahalacha for day 20, Siman 25, page 53. Halacha Lamed Bet. We're talking about now the Birkat Tefillin. The Birkat Tefillin is going to be Baruch Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam Asher Kishlam Tzvanu Lehaniach Tefillin. You have to say Lehaniach with the kamatz under the hay and not Lehaniach with the patach and with the dagesh. Right? He says that's what you have to say. So Lehaniach. If you right? Gam betvat Tefillin, you have to put a dagesh in the lamed Tefillin. Yeah, you have to put a dagesh in the lamed. Look in 43, 44. These instructions are found in the Shulchan Aruch. The sources that Gur brought down in citing the Ma'aril. The Gur actually commented that there's really no difference between the words meaning, whether it's going to be pronounced this way or the other way, but nevertheless, it is more correct to pronounce it with the kamatz, as it appears in the pasuk, Laniach Beracha el betecha, to place the Beracha in your house. The Levush, however, insisted that there is a difference between them, right? With the kamatz, it means to place, as found in Yecheskel, but if you do the patach, it means to leave it as a deposit, right? Laniach, right? To lashid. So he says it's found in Achichem ha'echad hanichu iti, right? You're going to leave him by me. So the beracha also means to place, not that you're just leaving it behind. Okay, that's why you don't put a dagesh. Right, le'aniach, right, le'hannicham. Right, basically when Megillat Esther, v'lamelech en shovel le'hannicham. Because if you're going to say le'hannicham, if you don't put a dagesh, it means that it's not fitting for the king to put them on. Not to put them on. It's le'anicham is to leave them behind, leave them. Right, it's not worth to leave them. So the same thing. So le'aniach is to put on the tefillin, not le'hannicham. Right, is to leave them. Next, the letter Lamed also tefillin has a dagesh, right? Because it's actually a combination of two letters of falal, pelila. You remember judgment, right? And this is the tefillin. The tefillin is a irrefutable proof that the word that the Shekhinah rests upon Klal Yisrael. So in the preface of Siman, several explanations were what is the word of tefillin. So according to that it says it's either missing letter tav or the letter lamed. So whichever one that it is, but it's missing a letter. So since it's missing a letter, it gets a dagesh chazak. So because of that, that's why it's tefillin, right, with a dagesh in the lamed. Okay, fine. Next, right? If someone made a mistake and he made the beracha of al mitzvah tefillin when putting on the tefillin shel yad, instead of making the beracha of lehaniach tefillin, yeah. So in such a case, right, he comes and he says, right, as follows. Yeah, in such a case, he comes and he says, right, his blessing is valid and he fulfilled his obligation. If he realizes error within the time span of Toch Dibur, he just simply corrects himself and that's it. And he tightens the strap around the arm. If more than a second has passed, so then he could rely upon the blessing that he already made. He does not need to make another beracha. Says the footnote number 45, the old Yosef Chai ruled, if someone mistakenly made a beracha of al mitzvah tefillin, right, he fulfilled his obligation. He didn't say laniach. He said al mitzvah tefillin. He's yotzei dechova. Furthermore, since it's a good beracha, if someone heard someone else make that beracha, he can answer amen. Yesterday, when we said that you couldn't answer amen, it was because you're making a beracha of shel rosh, and it could be that it's a beracha of a talah, and you're not supposed to make a beracha of shel rosh. And that's why even the Ashkenazim themselves, many of them will still say Baruch Shem V'Odol Omed after making the beracha, in order that it's not a beracha of a talah. But here, though, what does it help? So this is similar to someone who recited a general blessing, let's say shakol on an apple. If somebody comes and takes an apple, so shakol niya bidvarod, do you answer amen? Yes. Why? You're right, the bracha is hayetz. But since shakol is yitzidei chova and he didn't know whatever it was, so therefore you could still answer amen. That for sure is the same thing. Okay? Fine. After the span of Tokeh de Dibur, right? The next one says, even if someone made the bracha of mitzvah tefillin instead of the nech tefillin, he fulfills the obligation. Therefore, if more than a second passes after Tokeh de Dibur, you don't have to actually correct it. This is true even if he's not yet tied in the strap around. If he would now add the words nech tefillin, it would be afsek, and then you have a problem. Okay, what about an Ashkenazi Jew who makes this error? Why? But Ashkenazim, if anyway they're going to make a bracha al mitzvah tefillin on the rosh, what happens now if he made al mitzvah tefillin on the yad? So what does he do now? So it says, as explained above, most Ashkenazi Jews recite two different brachot, one on the yad and another on the rosh. So Rabbi David Pardo, right, that he comes and he says that if an Ashkenazi Jew mistakenly recited the blessing mitzvah tefillin when putting on the tefillin shel yad and did not correct himself, but he's not tied in the strap, he should now recite a second blessing laniach tefillin before tightening it. Then he should continue to put on the tefillin shel rosh without a beracha. Okay, if he realizes error after you already tied in the strap, so then he should continue and then say the beracha laniach tefillin when putting on the tefillin shel rosh. Meaning, you switch. You switch. Where do we see the same halacha? Do you know what happens right now if somebody goes up to the Torah and the first blessing of the Torah, he doesn't do Asher B'chabanu. He says Asher Natalanu. And he already finished. So now if we caught him on time, so that's fine. But what happens if he made a mistake? So he made a mistake. He said Asher Natalanu. When he finishes, he makes the Beracha of Asher B'chabanu. He switches. That's what's brought down in the Mishnah Berurah. So the same thing he's saying here. He's saying if it's before he actually tied in the strap, make the bracha now of laniach, and then don't make a bracha at all on the shalosh, because you already did a mitzvah tefillin on both. So you did a mitzvah tefillin, laniach tefillin, you put on both. But he said, but if you already started the thing, and then you realize, now you make laniach tefillin on the shalosh, because then you've switched. Right? The miskeret shulchan added that if the person realizes his mistake within 1 second and corrected himself, adding the words laniach tefillin, it's considered that he retracted the words of mitzvah tefillin, and therefore he makes the beracha of mitzvah tefillin when he puts on the tefillin shalosh. The Kavraim ruled that although the words of laniach tefillin, it is not an automatic cancellation of the words of mitzvah tefillin, it is as if that he recited mitzvah tefillin, laniach tefillin. It's a combination of both, and therefore one should not make any beracha afterwards. But another poskim, right? They come and they sided with the Mizkeret HaShulchan that no, that you could actually change it afterwards. Okay, fine. Last halacha, Lamed Daled. If someone blesses the name of Hashem in mind, right, for commanding us the mitzvah of tefillin, but he did not verbalize the words at all, meaning he made the bracha, but in his heart, he didn't actually verbalize it. So not even moving his lips. He should nullify the mental blessing by reciting Beracha and then continue to make a bracha and perform the mitzvah as normal. He recites the bracha of laniach tefillin before putting on the tefillin shel yad, and he does not make any bracha of tefillin shel rosh. So to me, birhur is a klum. He should still do. Yes, because that's what, because since there are shitot. Because since there are shitot that the hirur is something, so he should say Baruch Shalom Loved, but at the end of the day, it's not a bracha, so you would have to actually come now and say the bracha. Rav Chaim Falat decided mishpat katav, right? Mishpat katuv, ruling that if someone thought the words of the blessing of laniach tefillin without verbalizing them, he must not say the beracha verbally afterwards. Instead, he must recite the blessing of al mitzvah tefillin when putting on the tefillin shalosh. Right? The halacha is identical for both Sephardic and Ashkenazi Jews. This ruling is cited as halacha in the Kaf HaChaim Sofer. The Rishon HaTzion admitted that he did not have access to a copy of Mishpat Katuv, but he assumed that this ruling, right, is based upon the Rambam's ruling that if someone thinks a blessing without verbalizing it, the blessing is valid. Therefore, this person does not repeat the bracha of laniach tefillin in order to put on the tefillin shel yad. Regarding the tefillin shalosh, however, there's a compound argument to necessitate the bracha of al mitzvah tefillin. First of all, most poskim disagree with the Rambam regarding the validity of a mental blessing, ruling that it does not count as a blessing whatsoever, even if it does count as a real blessing for the tefillin shel yad. Many poskim rule that one must always say the beracha, separate beracha for both of them. Nevertheless, it does not justify the ruling, even when there's a compound argument to necessitate reciting a blessing. We still refrain from saying a beracha as long as it's possible to do it without a beracha levatala. So according to the most poskim, you do sefek berachot lakel. That's usual. Okay, so we're almost done. The Rishon LeZion offered a different solution. He says the person should just nullify the blessing, right, by saying Baruch Shem V'Loved, and then he could start all over again without any problem. Okay, and then that's it. So in truth, the Mishpat Katuv, based on his ruling upon a different platform, he explained that although the person must not recite the Beracha of al laniach tefillin verbally, he should say the Beracha of al mitzvah tefillin when putting on the tefillin shalosh, since it's a separate mitzvah, and then he could decide that his mental blessing should cover the first one, right, also. Right, the first mitzvah only. But obviously, it all depends on that.